friends, welcome back to the channel. If you are new here, you are on Ginger Chick Rehab, and my name is Yvonne, and I love to share my vision of repurposing secondhand finds here on my channel. So in today's video, it is no different. So I am taking my thrifted items that I found, and I'm sharing my vision of how to give them a second chance at getting back out there to make beautiful home decor. I'm actually wondering if these candlesticks, this wasn't their first makeover. They actually say Christmas on the bottom, so I think they look like they have actually been painted this coral color before. So I'm going to just change that coral color. So first off, we're going to get rid of these stickers. So see here on the bottom where you can kind of tell, even on the top you can kind of tell, I'm like, yeah, I think this isn't their first makeover. After removing the stickers, we're just going to give them a bath, a nice wipe down with some Dawn dish soap and some hot water, just to note that all the items will be getting cleaned this way. Dawn dish soap is a great degreaser, gets any residue that was left on there off, and so you have a nice prepped surface for painting. And then now that they are dry, I'm going to be painting them, yes, with a color. I am absolutely in love with this French eggshell color fusion color. Oh my gosh, this paint is a all-in-one paint, meaning it has the primer and the top coat in it both. Does not mean that it's just a one coat coverage though, y'all. So yes, I'm going to go ahead and get the first coat on, but it goes on so nice and smooth. Now after getting 2 coats on, the coverage is amazing. I'm going to be adding these wood rounds. So I did not take off the metal spikes that hold the candle on. The metal spikes are actually going to help the wood rounds stay on with a little help of glue. But first of all, you can get these wood rounds, Hobby Lobby, Joann's. I'm sure you can get a pack of them off of Amazon. Oh, and then, you know, there's always the stickers. So first of all, I got to get the stickers removed, and I'm going to have to sand them because just because they're a piece of wood, they are unfinished. So they are raw. The sticker leaves a weird residue and bleach spot. So I'm going to go ahead and give them a quick sand. Then I'm going to use a little bit of the Midwax Driftwood stain to stain them just a little bit. Now, they, as I said, just a little bit. These unfinished pieces, sometimes they don't stain as easy. I know there's a preconditioner you can use, but you know, it's a small candlestick item, so it's just enough to give them a little bit of color. Now to attach the wood rounds to the top of the candlesticks, I'm just going to do a little bit of the tight bond glue, the wood glue just around those sides where it's going to touch, and then I will take a towel, lay the towel on top of the wood round not to leave black marks for my wooden mallet, and then flip them upside down and let it dry overnight. And the thing that attracted me about the candlesticks, not the coral color, but all this beautiful detail. So I know that I could go in and do some type of a distressing, like an antiquing glaze here. I'm using the Color Fusion antiquing glaze to get down in the spots to just do some beautiful detail work. So I just taken a stencil brush, applying it on, getting it into all those little cracks and crevices, and then I'll just take a paper towel and wipe off the excess. Now, how many of y'all have any of these older clothespins in your stash? I have quite a few. So, yes. So, I just happened to run across these little bitty number stamps at a Hobby Lobby trip. I can't remember quite what I was looking for, and I'm like, oh, I think I like to number things, y'all. I do. So I'm like, I think that these will work. So I picked out the numbers 1 through 9 so I can go ahead and then just stamp them on. Just a simple little addition to make them into decor by numbering them. And these numbers are a perfect fit for that space. So I'm just trying to do it all in the same way, on the same part of the clothespin. I'm using the IOD black ink, and that is transferring over perfectly. Now that I have them all numbered, now I need to figure out how to display them. So I'm sure there's many different ways, but I'm actually just going to use this Dollar Tree ribbon. It kind of has a crocheted lace look to it, so I'm just going to gather them up, try to get, yeah, you know, as best as you can. But once I get them wrapped up, then I can readjust the little numbers. In a recent auction haul, I got these 3 jacks, though, yes, you can tell, they need to be re-glued, and I wasn't quite sure if the primitive vibe they have going on was trendy, or somebody would want to buy them, so I'm like, I probably should just give them my basic coloring. So first off, I'm going to go ahead and get them re-glued just with some Starbond CA glue, just any of the joints that easily pull off, get that fixed. And yep, I'm going with my basic color of black for these. I'm just going to be using some high performance enamel. These should just be shelf sitters, I would think, but you know, it's a jack and a kid might be like, hey, it's a giant jack to play with. So I want to make sure that my paint is good and on there. And I'm just going to go ahead and get these sealed in with a top coat of just the weather defense. It's just what top coat I happened to grab at the time. Now this little lighted house is just too cute, though I think the wording has kind of done its time, and it's MDF board, so it's nothing too awful special, but the light still's in it and the light still works, so I'm happy about that. But I do need to go ahead and remove the multiple tags that are on the back, and I lost my good scraper at the moment, my good remover. I'll find it. I put it someplace. So so if you see me struggling, it's just because I'm using this one. I have a better scraper, but I just misplaced it at the moment. And I've got a couple, so I've misplaced 2 of them now. And then I don't necessarily feel that the wording is raised, but just as a precaution, I want to make sure that I get it nice and smooth. But I don't want to necessarily use a power sander that might be too strong and go all the way into the MDF board, because then that will show up more than the wording. Now that I've got it cleaned in, it is dry, I'm going to go ahead and the body of the house, I'm going to go ahead and use the Victorian lace, that nice crisp white. And then I'm just going to go in very gingerly. It's got screening in it. I don't know if you can see the screening. So I'm just going to go on the outer of the windows. If I tried to go into the inner, I would probably touch the screen and make it a mess. So we're just going to leave that as is. But I already like the quick transformation the white is making this. Now for the roof, I'm going to go in with Color Fusion's Black Hole and get that painted. Now the green should paint over really easily, especially with the black. I'll still do 2 coats to make sure that it's completely covered, and the body might take about 3. That's just how whites are. Now as I'm on to my second coat, this is where I'll do a little bit more of the detail work. So I'll go ahead and take that black coal and go under the roof and go in very gingerly to get that other area cleaned up. And then if I touched anything like in the screen, I can get that now, and then I'll clean up that bottom so it's nice and fresh. I don't know, there's just something about black and white. The black and white definitely still goes with the farmhouse. It still goes with the primitive. You got the cottagecore. It just always fits into a lot of that. But I had this tiny little flag talking about stashes that came in some paperwork, and I'm like, when I remembered I had it, I'm like, oh, this would be perfect to put on this little tiny house. So yes, a little bit of hot glue on the back of it, and we will center it in the middle. Now, I know my next makeover is probably a little bit of a different one, and an interesting one. So I'm always kind of drawn to these because I've actually made them over, and I really like the look after I have made them over. So first off, this one is a little bit different than the ones I have made over, but I think I can go ahead and I can pop the rhinestones off, and then I can also cut off those curlicues at the bottom. So maybe this was used to hang like necklaces, or it's just a decor piece. Either way, I just need to remove a few of the parts to get it to do what I want it to do. Now that I have those pieces and parts removed, I'm going to go ahead and apply masking tape. I want this to look like a dress form. I know it looks like a dress form, but I want it to be more of a solid one. So my base is going to go ahead and be a masking tape. Now that I have got that all masking taped, I'm going to go ahead and cut some of this drop cloth fabric that has actually been coffee stained to be a little bit more of an age. So I love to work with this fabric. So that's why I had that base, is I didn't want my fabric sinking into the holes of this form. Now that I cut 2 identical size pieces, I'm going to be using this fabric tape. So it's a 2-sided fabric tape, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and put the one side on the masking tape for right now, go all the way down the form. You could hot glue, you could spray adhesive, whichever you want. This is just, I like it because it stays nice and smooth, and then when I'm putting the fabric on, I can pull it tight and I don't have any wrinkles. So this is what I'm going to use to adhere the fabric on. Then after I got it applied to both sides, I'm going to go ahead and peel off that protective layer and start adding my fabric. Now, since this is a really skinny form, I decided that I'm just going to have a fray edge. So what I'm going to do now is to seal the two pieces together, I'm just going to run it along the side with hot glue and then just glue the two pieces together. Now before gluing the bottom down, I'm going to go ahead and cut off the excess. I'm going to cut it pretty close, right up to where the glue has kind of squished out and made a nice hard point. That way when I go to glue and fold the flaps over, I don't have so much excess material to work with. Now to add a little bling. Now, even though the fabric seems like it's nice and flat because of the wire, and padding's really kind of hard to put on these little forms. So I'm just going to go ahead and just do some numbering with a stamp set. So just a little stamp set. The chest kind of sinks in area, so I decided just to do it along the bottom. My 31 didn't come out quite as well as I'd wanted it to. It was a little smudgy, but it is what it is now. You can't really, I'm not redoing it. So now I just am taking some sandpaper and kind of fraying the edges a little bit. It's good and on there with that hot glue. I just wanted to look a little bit frayed. And since I wasn't completely happy with the 31, the stamping job, I'm like, I do have some of this leftover homespun fabric that I had instant coffee dyed and dried. And I thought, well, maybe I can wrap it. At first I had it as like a belt and I'm like, no, that just looks like a skirt. And now I kind of like as a sash. So, you know, I still might change it even after I show you my finished results. But I do like the tone on tone of this together. It's really pretty. So for my next makeover, it's these salvage pieces. I'm not sure really what they came off to, but you can see that they have a double screw in them. And if you can get the screw out, they're definitely resellable as salvage pieces. So actually what I'm doing is I'm putting it in the vise. That way the vise holds that screw nice and tight, and then I can twist off the top part. Now each one of these has a rusty staple, actually two rusty staples, so I'm going to go ahead and get those removed. I don't want anything that would be scratching up somebody's furniture, so I'll get them removed. Now I could go ahead and just sell them as is. They lay flat, they're an okay color, but I think if I can get them a little bit whiter with still some of that aged white showing underneath, they might sell a little bit better. I have really good luck when I do some type of a patina on a salvaged find to freshen it up. So I'm just using this votive candle wax, and I'm going to go ahead, and that's going to be a barrier for where the areas will not accept the paint that I'm going to be putting on. So I'm just going to rub it all over these finials. And for me, when I have done some kind of a technique like this, I like to have a one coat coverage when I go to paint it. That way I'm not disturbing that underneath layer like the wax. So I'm just going in with Kills paint and primer in my sprayer and getting them sprayed, like I said, just one coat. And I let them completely dry overnight, and now the next day I'm just taking a metal scraper, this is just a spackling tool, and just rubbing it all. So wherever that wax was and it's still left behind, it will rub right off. This is one of the easiest ways to distress an item, so it's going to make it really look like it was just worn off with time. And I should really go back in my videos and count how many times I have made over the home interior candelabra version. I've done a different version, but I know at least 5 times I have done this one. So this one is so simple. This is a technique of Vaseline distressing. So you just kind of put Vaseline, you can use your finger, but I always use a paintbrush, and just put it on the areas where you think, you know, natural wear would be. Like I'd be taking the candle on and off, I'd be grabbing the base, I'd be, you know, moving it around here and there. So that's where I choose to put the Vaseline. So the Vaseline, just like the candle wax, is a barrier to prevent the paint from sticking. Just like the candle wax, I don't want to disturb the Vaseline too much. So I want this to be a one coat coverage too. So I kind of do like a little cheater technique of where I try to get that underneath as best as I can and then stand it upright to get the rest. And if you thought the wax technique was easy, actually the Vaseline is even easier. It's just water. All you do is you go in like you're going to wash the item off, and where the Vaseline did not stick, the paint comes right off with it. So it's a pretty easy way to distress a piece. Comparing this to the wax technique to the Vaseline, I don't ever feel anything left behind from the wax, but sometimes with the Vaseline, I do kind of feel like a smoothness to it. So I just always like to seal my Vaseline in, and I'm just using some polyacrylic. So thank you so much for watching today's video, and which one of my flips was your favorite, and have I inspired you to look at secondhand finds in a new way? I absolutely love doing different techniques. Every item is a little different than the next. So you can't say that, oh, I'm just going to paint this, and this, and this, and that, and I'm going to do this and this and that. Every item is an individual, so give me a quick comment down below which one was your favorite. And as always, if you are part of our YouTube family, thank you so much. And if you're new and you're checking out this channel for the first time and you enjoyed today's content, please consider hitting that subscription button along with the notification bell so you know we've uploaded a new video. And we will see you next time, guys, and you can see what we're up to. Bye!